Mom, we're home.
How about we thank Daddy for letting us stay in? Oh, all right, well, Jake and I thank you for letting us stay at your place during this horrible nightmare.
You don't have to thank me. I'm just glad this over. I'm just glad it's over. Jake's back home safely, and things can go back to the way they were.
No, it can't. Boys are just in there playing as if all was right in the world. I need to make sure it stays that way. I never want them to be in that kind of danger again.
You don't have to convince me.
Well, you have always put the boys first. Even after you found out Jake wasn't yours.
Yeah, well, I feel like he is mine. Even if his biological father
Is a man who can never be a part of their lives? But you always have been, and I hope you continue to be. Because we are so blessed to have you, and I don't think you understand how grateful I am.
I love those boys. They're my family, so stop thanking me.
How about we do something fun? Just the four of us. Let's have a little mini celebration.
There's some Christmas decorations at the zoo, and the reindeer are all decked out, and I think even Santa's making an appearance.
Perfect. The boys will love that.
Yeah, this family could use a little bit of Christmas cheer, get us in the spirit.
Yeah, I think we could. That would be great. Hello? Speaking. Oh, okay, I understand. Yeah, all right, thank you. Guess this nightmare's not over after all. Should I have been given a little more notice if they wanted me to come down to the courthouse?
Just don't worry about it. The federal investigator probably just had some time open up in his schedule and decided to get your statement in.
All right. Well, thank you for staying with the boys until my grandmother gets here.
You know, I can see you're nervous, but there's no reason to be. You did nothing wrong.
Lucky I shot and killed a man.
Because you were protecting your boys. Nobody's gonna question that. All the investigator wants is to go over the facts.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to explain why Jake almost died because of me.
Okay, you can't blame yourself.
Those boys would have never been in danger, and Jake would have never been taken if I hadn't chosen to be with Jason. When I look at what I did to my children, it makes me sick and scared, and that's why I need to just face this, so I never do it again.
Sam, good, you're here. All right, the special agent is ready to take your statements now. I would have preferred that he interview you separately, but he insists.
It's gonna be fun.
Jason Morgan, Sam McCall, Special Agent Thomas Rayner. Right, well, I will be outside in the hallway should you have any questions or concerns.
The report reads like a Wild West movie with Russians. 5 men dead in total. I've only got one question. Why shouldn't you both be charged with murder? Why did you and Elizabeth Weber decide to take her children to a cabin out in the middle of nowhere?
I've been dating Elizabeth, and I was afraid she and her children could be potential targets.
So Elizabeth and I, we blew a tire on the way up, and while we were changing it, we noticed this black van passing by, and we didn't know it at the time, but it was the Russians. They had followed us. After we managed to shoot the second one, Elizabeth went into the bedroom to check on the boys to make sure they were out of the line of fire, and she noticed that the window was open and Jake was gone.
When I got to the cabin, Elizabeth came running out. She was hysterical. That's when Sam jumped in my car and told me they had taken Jake.
And then Jason and I tracked the Russians down to this deserted mine, and while we were searching through the tunnels in there, I found one of Jake's shoes, which was great, and then the whole place decided to cave in, and well, we were back to square one.
So we narrowed it down to a roadhouse out near the flats. And I managed to get a look inside, and that's when I saw Jake. in a back room being guarded by 2 armed men.
And whose decision was it to try to get the kid out on your own instead of calling the cops?
It's mine.
Mine. It was the only viable plan given the situation.
You, walking into a roadhouse full of armed Russian mobsters.
Jason knows I can handle myself.
I gave her 20 minutes.
Yes, and I went in, I chatted up one of the Russians, I told him I had to use the restroom, I slipped off into the back, and there was Jake.
And I couldn't wait any longer, so I walked through the front door, I started shooting, and that's when the Russians returned fire.
And when the shooting started, I was able to grab Jake and jump out of the window.
The kid was being guarded by 2 men. Where were they?
Well, after the shooting started, they went to see what was going
Right,
on.
one of the guys I shot must have fallen and triggered the explosive device because when that happened, I was standing near the entrance, and I was thrown back by the blast.
Forensics shows that one of the men died of bullet wounds, one from a broken neck, and the 2 others died from the explosion.
Based on your statements and the forensic evidence, it appears you 2 acted in defense of a minor child. And I'm prepared to close the case.
And Sam both made a very favorable impression on Agent Rayner, who apparently is true to his word. So, now that the paperwork has been officially signed, you're on fire. You're on fire, Jason.
You can go now, I'll call you later.
All right, Jason, as your attorney, I'm going to strenuously advise you that now is neither the time nor the place for a heart-to-heart with Elizabeth. And I'm talking to myself. I could be on fire. Why aren't I on fire?
How's Jake?
He's fine.
I mean, they called you in here to make a statement.
I'm meeting Agent Rayner.
I want you to ask him to explain to you how those men died.
Why do you want me to hear how those men died?
Because Jake would have died the same way. I went in firing. The Russians fired back. The odds that Jake could have been hit increased every time I pulled the trigger.
You were trying to
No,
say
I shot a Russian, and he detonated an explosive device. The room Jake was in was 10 feet from the blast point. 10 feet. Which means if Sam hadn't gotten Jake out before the explosion,